Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is the latest episode of Win TV, presented to you by the Washington Informer. I'm co-hosting. I am filling in today for our publisher, Denise Rolock Barnes. And I do hope that you have already picked up a copy of the latest edition of the Washington Informer. It is free in newsstands. And also, I hope that if you're not able to get to one at a newsstand, that you also take advantage of our digital edition of the newspaper that you can get to by going to www.washingtoninformer.com. With the online edition, there's going to be a very special announcement in my article that I have this week about our DC Jazz Fest. Just go on the digital edition in the search column, type my name, Washington, Brenda Seiler, Siler. At the end of that article, we have a special treat for you. The Washington Informer, a media partner of DC Jazz Fest, is giving away free general admission tickets for the program. That's the concerts for September the 2nd, that's Saturday, and September the 3rd, that's Sunday. But you have to type in the link, go into the link and type in a special code for each night. And voila, you're going to have free tickets for DC Jazz Fest. We're happy to make that available to you. So thank you in advance for taking advantage of that free opportunity. Please don't forget to share this broadcast on all of your social media platforms and follow us on social media as well. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now known as X, and YouTube. The YouTube is Washington Informer TV. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you can go back and look at more programming and be ready to tune in every Friday at 12 noon. We have a great program planned for you today. But before we get started, there is so much happening this weekend. As kids get ready for school in Maryland, there are a lot of back to school programs that are offering school supplies being given out by Prince George's County, I believe. And there is, of course, tomorrow, the March on Washington down at the Lincoln Memorial. It is the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. It's a coalition of a lot of groups, and there is still work to be done for equal justice for everyone. And I want to let you know about the 40th anniversary concert for Can Karan, West African Dance Company, taking place from August 31st through September 3rd. And then there's going to be a wonderful concert on September 2nd at Crampton Auditorium on the Howard University campus. For more information, you want to visit www.cankaran, that's going to be up on our screen shortly, K-A-N, Karan.org/conference. That website again for the 40th anniversary dance event celebrating Can Karan is at cankaran.org conference/conference. And there's going to be a free concert at Crampton Auditorium on September the 2nd. So let's move forward and get to our guests. We have today Dr. Charles Steele Jr. He is president and CEO of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, headquartered in Atlanta. That was the organization founded by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he's here to talk about the big event this weekend, and that's the 60th anniversary march for the March on Washington. But in the meantime, I think we're waiting for him to come with us. We're set up at a hotel where they're getting things going for the March on Washington, but that's okay. We'll continue to make some things happening. One of the things that I'm going to get back to the latest edition of the Washington Informer. We were there on site this week as Ben's Chili Bowl turned 65. I hope that you were there because all day long they were giving out free half smokes. That is their signature dish. Of course, they have other appetizing things on the menu, but those that made it down there, it was quite a crowd. There were a number of personalities, celebrities there. So the folks that were able to get there and to celebrate with Virginia Ali, who is the owner and founder of Ben's Chili Bowl. She and her late husband had a great idea 65 years ago, and it's been going on ever since. It didn't even stop serving during the riots in 1968. And we commend them for having such a long-standing business. We are celebrating National Black Business Month for the entire month of August. And so congratulations to Ben's Chili Bowl on 65 years. The other thing that I wanted to again remind you about, Washington Informer is online, washingtoninformer.com. If you go to my article, I have an article in this week about the Jazz Festival. And at the end of my article, you will love this. The Washington Informer, in conjunction with us being a media partner of DC Jazz Fest, will be giving away free tickets. But you can only access those tickets if you go to the online version, the digital version of Washington Informer. Look for my name in the search engine, Brenda C. Siler, Siler. And at the end of my article called The 19th Edition DC Jazz Fest has something for everyone. There it is right here. You will see at the end of that article, we're giving away free tickets for the shows next weekend on Saturday, the 2nd of September, and on Sunday, on the 3rd of September. And that is going to be great. Again, I want to remind you who we've got on the show today. We've got Dr. Steele, who we're waiting to hear about the March on Washington. We've got also someone on the show, Cicely, who is going to talk about the 50th anniversary concert of the Can Karen West African Dance Company. And we're going to talk to Dana Green, who had a wonderful, thriving business out in Leesburg. And she's going to talk to you a little bit about what has been going on with her business as we continue to celebrate National Black Business Month. Let's get to the news headlines, and we're going to hear that from Curtis Knowles.
This is Win TV News, bringing you the news that matters. Prince George's Community College has become an Amazon Career Choice Program partner, and the corporation's employees are eligible to enroll at the college this fall. Career Choice is an educational enrichment benefit that covers tuition and mandatory fees for credit-bearing undergraduate degrees and certificates. PGCC was accepted to onboard this rigorous program, along with every participating member of the Maryland Higher Education Commission program. Gina Macklin, Dean of Student Enrollment Services, said, quote, PGCC is excited for this collaborative opportunity to promote continued education, career advancement, and success in the workforce economy. The March on Washington will return to D.C. this weekend, honoring the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Demonstration as it aims to continue the movement's decades of work. Organizers expect tens of thousands of visitors to take part in this year's march, happening Saturday, August 26th at the Lincoln Memorial. The event, led this year by Reverend Al Sharpton, Martin Luther King III, and his wife Andrea Waters King, will have some accommodations available for visitors participating in the march. Participants plan to gather at the memorial at 7 a.m., and the program will run until around 1 p.m., which will then lead to the march through the streets to the nation's capital, and the marching portion is expected to last until around 3 p.m. Former President Donald Trump is expected to voluntarily surrender at the Fulton County Jail on Thursday night, where he'll be booked on felony charges in connection with efforts to overturn the 2020 presidential election results in Georgia. Trump, who was 77, departed from his summer home in Bedminster, New Jersey, shortly before 4 p.m. to take his then private plane to Atlanta, where he was indicted last week on racketeering and conspiracy charges. After arriving at the jail, Trump is expected to be fingerprinted, processed, and then quickly released under the terms of his $200,000 bond agreement his attorney struck with the Willis office this week. A date for his arraignment has not yet been announced.
I want to check in with my a co-executive producer. I think we have Cicely ready to come on. Is that correct? Or Mr. Fuller? So let's look, but let me tell you who is coming up. We're going to be also hearing from Henry Fuller, who is going to be talking to us about some of the things that he is doing with the Places of Worship Advisory Board. He is the co-founder and CEO of Citizens Under Guidance, Acting for Sustainable Progress. And he's with POAB, and that was what I mentioned before, the Places of Worship Advisory Board, and the Friends of Oxen Run. He joins us to talk about the POAB Community Day of Health and Awareness taking place tomorrow at Oxen Run Park. And then we're going to be talking with, as a part of our National Black Business Month, Cicely Habimana, co-owner of Soul Creative Lounge, and that's So as in SEW. And she's going to talk about their upcoming So Much Soul conference. And I think Cicely is ready. And how about Dana Green, who is with Restock Sneakers? Well, that's okay. Let's talk about some of the things that I think you will want to have bring your attention to in the Washington Informer. One of the greatest plays that talks about equal justice for all is now at the Kennedy Center, and that's To Kill a Mockingbird. That play stars Richard Thomas. Some of you all may remember him as being John Boy in the TV series The Waltons. And this is the second year in a row coming to DC for the production of that play. It's a wonderful, stellar cast, and you will really, really enjoy this production. It's only here until this Sunday, the 27th. So if you're going to go, keep that in mind. And I think we have Dana, who is in the waiting room, to come on with us. Our co-producer, Chevry, are you ready to bring on Dana or Mr. Henry? I'm sorry, Henry Fuller. Henry Fuller! Thank you for being with us today. We're just getting people lined up, and it's such a busy day because we're in the midst of planning coverage of the March on Washington. And for next weekend, we're going to be in the midst of celebrating and getting ready for DC Jazz Fest. But welcome with us. You are the founder and CEO of Citizens Under Guidance, Acting for Sustainable Progress. That's a lot. And you're going to talk to us about Places of Worship Advisory Board, also with the acronym of POAB. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the Friends of Oxen Run that's going to be joining with you all for the POAB Community Day Health and Awareness. Talk about that. That's tomorrow at Oxen Run Park.
Thank you so very much for this opportunity. Of course, as you said, I'm Henry Fuller. I'm a political scientist and urban regional planner and a proud resident of Ward 7 here in the Great District. So what I would share with you, of course, you talked about POAB, which stands for Places of Worship Advisory Board. The Places of Worship Advisory Board is a collection of many different District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia faith leaders, as well as elected officials. This is a consortium that came together to address social determinants of health and various needs in the community. So you mentioned Oxen Run Day, or rather the Friends Oxen Run in Valley Green. They are our proud partners this year. Places of Worship Advisory Board, of course, have been doing this great work for over 15 years. This is our 7th year hosting the Places of Worship Annual Community Day, a Health and Wellness Fair. The vision for that is that it's a one-stop shop for wellness, health. So mind, body, and soul. So we will have our spiritual leaders there, various places of worship from Maryland, DC, and Virginia. We'll have the DC, Maryland, and Virginia health departments on site, providing various health screenings and things such as that. We have a women's village, a children's village, a men's village, a prevention village. So one would say, that sounds like a lot, but what are the details? We'll have giveaways for the children in the children's village. We'll have games, moon bounces, and other things to engage the youth. Of course, with the seniors, we'll have various speakers specific to the needs of seniors here in the DMV. We're very happy that all of the MCOs will be present. We know that we want to get our residents re-enrolled into their health insurance. And so, of course, we're so elated about that.
I think it's wonderful that you are going to be set up as one-stop shopping. I like the fact that you're going to talk to residents about their health insurance to make sure they're covered properly. But then you're going to have spiritual advisors, you're going to be talking about nutrition and probably some exercise programs that will keep people healthy and ready to take advantage of life's fullest activities. How did you even plan this? How did you come up with this idea? And who did you plan this with? What other groups?
So let me share with you that, of course, I started my engagement when I moved here. I'm a native of Jackson, Mississippi. So I've been living here about 3 years. And in my former capacity as a public health administrator, I got engaged with POAB, and it's been very effective. What I will say about POAB is when we gathered, it was all about being a solution to a problem or addressing a need. And that is definitely what we plan to do there. As far as our partners, of course, as I said earlier, DC Department of Behavioral Health, DC Health and Wellness Center, the Department of Education, Virginia Department of Health. And of course, with our Seniors Village, we have Blue Rock Care, Capital Caring Health. Of course, I am a client relations executive with Capital Caring Health, an advanced illness provider that provides care here in the DMV in DC, Maryland, Virginia. We will be on site to empower the residents to increase enrollment of hospice enrollees as far as a benefit. Hospice is a benefit that's underutilized, specifically, especially in persons of color. Hospice benefit is, of course, 100% free, but we see various citizens underutilizing that access. So we look forward to engaging with the residents from all over the DMV during our event on tomorrow. Of course, it's from 2 to 6. Of course, we'll have free food for everyone. We'll have many different activities to engage all, and we look forward to our engagement.
I'm happy to hear you talk about hospice because I think either people don't know about it, or they think of hospice just in one type of way. And there are very many ways to approach hospice to make sure that our loved ones are cared for in a very providing and caring way. We had to do that with our family, whereas my dad was in his final months. And you're right, that's important. Everything that you're doing is important. And I like the fact that you have decided out many segments, like you will have a women's segment. You're going to have a multi-generational aspect of it with folks focusing on kids, adults, and older people.
Mm-hmm.
And tell us in terms of, again, give us the information of, again, where people can go to if they want to follow up with some of the things that they're going to learn at the day tomorrow.
So we're asking everyone, of course, pre-register. So you can go on to Eventbrite, of course, Oxen Run Community Day 2023. Please go on and register. There's also a link there available for if you'd like to be a volunteer.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so very much. And we appreciate you bringing us this message and this information about this free event tomorrow at Oxen Run Park. And thank you so much.
And thank you. And we look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow.
Okay. Appreciate you being here. And thank you.
Thank you.
And Chevry, our co-executive producer, who do we have coming up next? And while we're waiting for our next, here comes Dr. Charles Steele.
Hello, how you doing?
I am fine, and I know you are a busy man because this is a wonderful way to help us stay on track with the March on Washington. You are the president and CEO of SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. I'm a native Washingtonian, but I went to school in Atlanta, was in Atlanta for 24 years. So I was there when Reverend Dr. Abernathy was head of it, and when Joe Lowry was head of it. So, but I have not met you. So wonderful. Talk about the march tomorrow. And what I'm hearing is we got a lot of work still to do. And I'll let you talk about that.
Yeah, well, first of all, you hit it on the head when you said we have a lot of work to do. And it's more than just marching. I want you to know that. We have to commemorate and continuate, but the fact being is that we have a lot of work to do. That's number one. We own just 0.5% of the wealth in this country. 0.5%. And nobody's talking about it. You know what I'm saying? We must understand, because if you are in the spirit of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. King said we need to have redistribution of the wealth. You're living in a capitalistic society. You can't even go to the bank to get a loan. Entrepreneurship has been dried up to a large degree. You're talking about the partnership of building these large skyscrapers, all these institutions, any aspect of construction. African-American people of color, black folks are not in it, because many times the unions are just as bad as the system. So racism is the bottom and the basis of our problem.
Well, I'm happy to hear you talk about the financial wealth that we contribute to this country and to business globally. We're celebrating National Black Business Month, and we've got some speakers on the show after you who are business owners. But the other thing that is important is it's more than the financial wealth. We've got the brain power to do things. We are engineers, we're doctors, we always have been. We are the entrepreneurs. We are people that are continuing to build this country. Therefore, all of us need to be recognized for what we're doing, and we need to keep fighting for that recognition. Is that correct?
Absolutely. But don't forget, we always had smart people.
Right.
Okay? We always had folks could get the job done. The bottom line is racism, and people don't want to talk about that. That's what the problem is. America has never been healed. Who ever heard of somebody talking about the historicity of your people can't be talked about, and you can't go back no further than 1972? What in the world is wrong with this system? It's systemic racism, and we got to identify it, and don't be afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid to die for what is right.
Yes, sir. And this is what I love about what is happening with this march. I interviewed the current president and CEO of the National Council of Negro Women a couple of weeks ago, because she's on the planning committee. And one of the things that we saw and we acknowledged was the family of organizations has grown that are participating in the March on Washington. Yes, we've got women's groups, we've got LGBTQ groups, we've got labor unions, and we've got the lead civil rights organizations that have been in this fight since the beginning. Talk about bringing in such a wonderful, diverse group of leaders and people that want to see equal justice for us all.
Well, no question about it. You got to be inclusive. You know, it's all about inclusivity. You have to be inclusive. But after the march, you got to have an agenda to work together. Well, you know, if you don't work together with SCLC, we're going to do our thing anyway. You know what I'm saying? We don't need no permission for nobody to fight for our people. So what I'm saying is that everybody has a role to play. Everybody has his lane. Everybody has his lane. Respect my lane, and you will get respect from me in terms of what you do. But everybody must understand that it's unity. We must work together. So we can move on from that and just talk about what you're going to do in terms of the goals for our people. The goals for our people is capitalistic opportunity. They took the trades out of our public schools and nobody said nothing. Okay? We got our people, and you got to have the academic in various ways. You can get education in various ways. But we're talking about the real financial gains in supplying our people and fulfilling the gap within the wealth community of black people. I just told you, we don't have no banks. We don't own no skyscraper projects with that we are in partnership with. I just left Cleveland, Ohio, dealing with Sherwin-Williams, one of the oldest companies in this country. All of the partnerships at the top are Caucasian. 9, no black person to any degree. When I say black person, I'm talking about male or female. We must look out for ourselves because it's been proven in history. Nobody else is going to do it but us.
That's right. We need to step out and make sure that we let people know that what we want and that we're capable of getting the job done. I just want to acknowledge the fact that, first of all, we're talking to our special guest today, Dr. Charles Steele Jr. He is president and CEO of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC. He's in town because tomorrow is the 60th anniversary March on Washington. We've still got things to go. This event has never stopped, even during the pandemic. We were able to gather under safety, uh, organizational aspects of it, and we continue to speak out, especially about jobs, which Dr. Steele was just speaking about. But more importantly, everybody wanted to pull together, especially because at that time during the pandemic and COVID, we're always talking about health equity. The fact that a lot of people are not able to access and get correct information about living healthy. And that is a part of us being able to walk strong and stand strong in the struggle. Talk a little bit about that, please, Dr.
Well,
Steele.
first of all, it goes back to economics. You can't get away from that. Why do you see the crowds and all of the people at McDonald's and Burger King about 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening? It's the cheapest meal they can get and feeding their families. Do you hear me? I know this. I do my own research. So how can they eat any healthier than the money allows? Economic development. And we need to call it like it is. America is racist when it comes to affordable opportunities for economic development for African Americans. They want you to be broke. It's a design systemic problem within this country.
Economic viability is important for all of us. And we want you all to take advantage of the March on Washington. If you're able to go down by the Lincoln Memorial tomorrow, that's great. There are other ways. I know that there will be several streaming broadcasts of it on YouTube. I remember 2 years ago, NAN did stream it on their YouTube channel. But regardless, listen to the speakers. Take action, go back to your local communities, your local organizations, your Divine Nine groups, your churches, wherever it is
12
that you know
o'clock.
that you can help. And thank you, Dr. Steele. As you close out, I want to let people know that this Sunday, Reverend Al Sharpton will be the guest preacher at Andrew Rankin Chapel on the campus of Howard University. Service starts at 11 a.m. And we're sure that Reverend Dr. Sharpton is going to continue to talk about the march and what needs to be done as our next steps. Thank you so much, Dr. Steele. I know we had some problem with you getting here, but we are so happy that you were able to be with us today on WIN TV.
And thank you so much. And again, unity. We must work together.
Thank you. Unity is the right message to go out on. Take care, and I know things will be wonderful for the march tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Steele, again. And just a reminder in terms of some other things going on, again, go to the Washington Informer online at washingtoninformer.com. Go to the DC Jazz Fest article because the Washington Informer is a partner this year and has been for several years, media partner with the Washington DC Jazz Fest. And if you look at this week's article about Jazz Fest, at the end, we are offering free tickets to the shows that are going to be held on the 2nd, all day on the wharf, next Saturday on the 2nd, and next Sunday on the 3rd, all day on the wharf. And you can get in for free if you take advantage of that special in the online version of the article, and go to use the code and have a good time on the wharf listening to some great jazz. We've got next the co-owner of So Creative Lounge. Her name is Cicely Habimana. Sew is spelled S-E-W. I love that because I sewed as a child and I was making all my clothes through high school. So I'm a sewer and therefore I relate to what you're trying to do. Cicely, thanks for being with us. Did I pronounce your last name correctly, Habimana?
It's Habimana and it's Cecily, my first name.
Cecily, I apologize.
No worries.
Thanks for being with us and welcome to WIN TV. tell us about Sew Creative Lounge. That is your creation. Talk about that, please.
Yeah, so Creative Lounge is a sewing and fabric store located in Mount Rainier, Maryland. Today, we are actually moving to Atlanta, Maryland on Monday. So we're actually in the midst of packing up this whole space that we opened in 2017. We service the entire community in terms of teaching them how to sew. We do children's classes, adult classes. We have a virtual membership program where people are able to sew along with us throughout the entire country. There are more than 400 Black women that are part of this organization.
I grew up learning how to sew with my mother. She had one of the, she had a Singer sewing machine in the cabinet. I mean, that was kind of different than having one that's just sitting on the table. She had the cabinet, and she taught us how to sew with very simple things. You know, taking old mattress pads, cutting them up and turning them into hot pads for the stove, getting remnant fabric. But I love what you're doing, and you are getting ready to put on a conference. Talk about the So Much Soul conference.
Yes. So this is actually our fifth time hosting this conference. The first one was in 2021, and we wanted to do something at that time because we were all at home. We still wanted to reach our community, but we wanted to bring them together in one space. And once we did that first conference, we had over 10,000 people register for that conference, and we were like,
Wow.
whoa. We have hit something. We have hit something that's a need in our community, and even beyond that. And so since then, we constantly get those same numbers. We've hit over 10,000 people to register for the conference this year as well. And it's basically, we're going to be working on a few little cute projects. This one is a cute little fanny pack. Yes.
Well, I had one on today when I did my walking this morning. I love that.
Yes, so we're going to be making one of those. We're going to be upcycling a pair of jeans. So this is a top that we'll be working on, and everybody's is going to look different. We're into sustainability. We don't want to just throw our clothes away. We want to be able to repurpose them as well. So this is from 3 pair of jeans where we're able to remake it into a top. And we also have a project bag. This class is going to be taught by Janet Green. And it's basically when we're making our projects, we tend to have our pieces all over the place. So when we're done with our project for the day, you just put everything in here and put it away. And then that way, when we go to make it again, we're not like losing the pieces and such. So that's what this project is for.
One of the things that when I was learning sewing, after my mother started us out, we did go to sewing classes. Some of the fabric stores held classes in the back of the store. And we learned how to do all kinds of things, which I thought was very helpful because a lot of clothing patterns were not made for Black women's bodies. So we learned how to adjust the patterns in these sewing classes so things worked for us and looked well once we finished with our projects. And I love what you're doing in terms of sustainability. That, again, my mother taught us how to sew with remnants of fabric from projects that she had been working on. So we use those remnants. And I love, could you hold up that fanny pack again?
You trying to make one of these?
No, I don't know. I just love it. If y'all are making it and selling it, I would be willing to buy that. But I love that. Oh,
Thank
I'm sorry
you. Thank
that I
you.
interrupted later, but I love that. That is such a wonderful thing. And folks, we need to know, let's put up how we can get in touch with you and with the conference. And congratulations on being able to still be operating as you move to a new location.
Yes. So you can get more information about the conference at somuchsoulconference.com. We are also honored to be joined by Felicia Rashad as well. She's going to be doing a fireside chat with me, and we're going to be talking about why it's important for us to tell our stories. So although we are sewers, but we tell our stories through our garments, we tell our stories through our quilts, we tell our stories through all types of art, and that's the conversation that we're going to be having with Felicia Rashad during the conference.
And that, again, is So Much Soul Conference.
Yep, SEW.
So is got a sewing machine, SoMuchSoulConference.com.
Yep.
And the fact that you're going to have Felicia Rashad there, who is the dean of the Chadwick Boseman Fine Arts School of Fine Arts. Sewing is art form. It is a form of fine arts. So I think there's a lot of synergy with you bringing Dean Rashad over for a fireside chat tomorrow. Talk about how you all even got her. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I'm a Howard University alum, and
Right,
I
HU.
yes, you know. And so when I was thinking about who would be the perfect person to do this fireside chat, she just came to mind. You know, she's my TV mom. Rudy is my TV sister. You know, I just felt like this would be the perfect person. And so basically, I went into the college with a proposal. The proposal included a quilt that some of our instructors and members made, as well as a video proposal. And within 3 seconds of her watching the bid and proposal, it connected and resonated with her, and she said yes. So that's how that went.
You said something very important about being an entrepreneur. You talked about how you've been successful with thousands and thousands of people registering for your conferences. You're going into your 5th year. But in order to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to have a plan. You have to do a business plan. You did a proposal. You think the business plan is one thing, but when you want to do something special, you need to know how to craft a proposal and present it. And that is why you are able to get Dean Rashad with you tomorrow, but also you had a business plan. And there are so many resources for doing a business plan. Are you able to tell us what resources you accessed in order to get your plan together? Did you find a mentor? Were there some free courses? Talk a little bit about that, because I think a lot of people just don't know where to start when they're trying to grow a business.
Yeah, so I a few years ago, when I first started, so 2017 when I first started, I started growing this business alone, and I quickly figured out that I needed to meet other business owners. I needed to have mentors. And what I did, I found an organization called Traffic Sales and Profits that they are based down in Atlanta. It has more than, it brings together thousands of Black entrepreneurs each year. And through that, I'm able to have mentorship. I'm able to ask those questions that nobody else will be able to answer just within my family and my own circle. So that company and that organization is really dedicated to building Black businesses. They call themselves, I think it's called the $1 Million Factory, like the $1 Million Business Factory, where they're producing Black entrepreneurs and helping them to scale. Because we talked about, we really need to have those, strong businesses in our community. So.
Well, thank you for that insight. And I want to again congratulate you on the success of your business, on putting on the conference tomorrow. There's going to be wonderful So Much Soul Conference.com.
And it's not tomorrow. It's September 8th through the 10th.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah,
September 8th through the 10th, because y'all are moving this weekend. So it's in September, but go to SoMuchSoulConference.com. That's where you can register for the conference that's going to be in September. And again, that's SEW, MuchSoulConference.com. And where's that conference going to be held?
It's virtual. So it's held in your living room. You're in the perfect location, Miss Brenda, to participate.
I guess I am. So everybody, thank you for being here today. We're excited for what you're going to do with the conference. And I know you'll have stupendous attendance. Have a great rest of the day and happy moving.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. We're going to talk to Dana Green right now, who is in the waiting area. Dana has, we know Dana because I did a wonderful article and interviewed her. Last year was in June. Now that I think about it, it was in June. She started a store in Leesburg, Virginia called Restocked Sneakers. She admitted to me that she had been a sneakerhead for a long time, but she and her husband are both entrepreneurs. And I want to start out, before we get into the nitty gritties about your particular business, Real Stock Sneakers, talk about your path to being an entrepreneur for both you and your husband.
Hi, Brenda. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to talk about business anytime. So this is awesome. So So I met my husband. We both worked for the Secret Service at the White House, and our careers took us different paths, and we met up again in the real estate world. I had my real estate license, and he owned a real estate company. So we got married, and we opened a gym initially together, a motor skill development gym for kids. So we did that for years, and then we moved on, still while having the real estate company. And we pivoted into a commercial concrete business called Concrete Mixes Inc. So that business, we have ready mix concrete trucks, and we deliver concrete to many jobs in the DC area. Some of our most notable jobs are the African American Museum. We did the Southwest project with the war, the Martin Luther King Memorial. So we've done a lot of great things in the business world with our concrete business.
That's amazing. And you, in your family, you had an entrepreneur in your family. Was it your father or your grandfather that owned a barbershop?
My grandfather, growing up, my grandfather was the only Black barber in town, and he owned his own barbershop. And I would go down there as a kid, and to see him owning a business, I was always proud to see my grandfather working and being very successful with his own business.
I love that because, again, we have to see ourselves represented in order to move forward. So I so love that story about your grandfather. But let's talk about restocked sneakers. Talk about how many pairs of sneakers you owned before you even opened your business. I was just like, what? Let's go ahead and tell us about that.
Well, I've always had a love for sneakers, even as a kid. And I just recently cleaned out my closet. So I think I'm down to maybe 60 or 70 pairs of sneakers now. But it's always been my go-to, just to be comfortable and cute. I always felt good when I had on a cute pair of fashionable sneakers.
And now we know what's being publicized. Sneakers are the new way to go to work. People are really getting into fashionable sneakers just to be comfortable at work. But then you got this brainstorm about restocked sneakers.
Yeah, so my husband and I, since we're in the real estate, we owned a commercial real estate location, and we'd had it for years. And once the pandemic hit, it sat vacant for a while. So I decided to take my love for sneakers and open Restock Sneakers. It was something that I'd never done. I'd never done retail before, even though we've owned other businesses. But to get in, I had to learn how to do inventory, marketing, jump into social media like I'd never done before. And just I learned the importance of being active in my community. So it was definitely an exciting venture and something I really enjoyed. So it wasn't like I was going to work. I was just doing something I love, and I was able to connect with my community in a way. I've lived in Leesburg for over 15 years, and I never connected with my community so much until I opened Restock Sneakers.
And the business was going like gangbusters, but then you hit a stumble. And we want to talk about a stumble, that stumble that you experienced with Restock Sneakers in Leesburg, Virginia.
Yes. So in the height of the retail season, in between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we had 2 burglaries 10 days apart. And with this type of store being a resale sneaker store, the way we source our sneakers, a lot of times they're one of a kind, they're irreplaceable. We only sell new shoes here at Restock, and we had a lot of shoes stolen from us, and that really hit us really hard. It was an unfortunate time, and for it to happen twice in 10 days, it just knocked the wind out of our business.
Was this considered a smash and grab, which we've been hearing a lot about in the news recently?
Well, I think they called it that. I mean, CNN came and they did a story on us, and they did call it a smash and grab, but thankfully we were not in the store at the time. So they came throughout the night, both times, early morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And there was a group of teenagers. The first time, I believe it was only 2. The second time they came back with friends, and it was a total of 6. So they did a lot of damage to the store. So even the shoes that they didn't steal, and they were very selective about the items that they stole. They came in, they took our most sought after sneakers, they just damaged a lot of stuff because there was so many of them. They broke windows and display cases and stepped on boxes. And this type of shoe market, you don't sell a shoe without a box, or you don't sell shoes with a damaged box because they're collector's items. So we lost a lot with some young kids, I guess, thinking, I don't know what they wanted to do, start their own sneaker business or just fill their closet up with some nice shoes.
Yeah, and you had a number of vintage Jordans. And what are some of the other? Because I remember when I interviewed you and you told me about the Jordans that you had. And so, what other vintage shoes? Because it's the vintage ones are really valuable.
Yeah, so we had a lot of Jordans. We had Yeezys. Um, I guess our biggest market that kids loved at the time were the Jordan 1s, and we had a lot of Jordan 1s that were stolen from us. And we even had sizes of sneakers going up to size 18 because we're here in Loudoun County, close to where the Commanders are. So a couple players would come in and want large shoes, and we had them here, but unfortunately, they decided to come take them from us.
So, tell me what you're doing to move forward. What decisions did you have to make?
Well, I think in business and being a good entrepreneur, you know when you have to step away. So we had to make the hard decision that we were going to close the store. I was thinking about just going online and doing an online platform because we still have a lot of sneakers to sell. So that's still an option that I'll just maintain the store, sell the sneakers online. But when people knew that the store was closing, we got a lot of fraudulent orders and orders with, unfortunately, there's some awful people in this world. And they tried to use credit cards that were stolen to try to order sneakers. So I have to be very careful of how I move forward with the online store. So that's a possibility. But we still have
Okay.
this commercial space, and I am brainstorming about what to do next.
Okay. And I know one of the things our co-executive producer said, would you consider doing a pop-up situation from every now and then?
Yes, we consider that going to some of the sneaker conventions and taking our sneakers there. So that's also
Oh,
an option. But right now, I'm really focusing on my position as a CFO with the concrete business because it is booming right now. We're doing really well in the concrete world. And we have the niche market by being a minority owned business. And DC is thriving. I'm sure as you drive through DC, you see all the cranes and the buildings going up. So we've been very busy with that. And we may get into some real estate investing at some point.
okay. I felt that it was important for you to join us today because, again, we are in the midst of wrapping up National Black Business Month. You and your husband have been successful
Mhm.
uh, as entrepreneurs, which is wonderful, but there can be some pitfalls. And
Yes.
I think that people need to understand how to prepare for everything. Because one of the things you told me about, because your business had been broken into twice, that impacted the insurance part of the business. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so there was a struggle with my insurance company. One to get them to understand the type of business that Restock Sneakers is. So they want to look at the wholesale value of the sneaker, but that's not necessarily the value of the product that was stolen. So going back and forth with the insurance company, trying to recoup some of what we lost, and then we have the impact of our insurance premium going up because I have a store front that's been broken into twice. So they have to look at the area, which Leesburg is a wonderful area. Loudoun County is the richest county in the nation, but unfortunately, we um we had two break-ins, and the insurance company frowned upon that.
Of course, they would. Well, I want to thank you, first of all, for coming on and telling your story. I was so fascinated. And when I saw what was happening on the news, I did see it on the local news. I immediately reached out to you via Instagram
Yes.
and I was like, what's going on? Stories that I feel passionate about and the people that are committed and have made the sacrifice, I do follow up. to see what's going
Thank
on. And
you.
I want to track and see what you're doing. So as you go through the process of making a decision about the next business venture, let us know, because we'd like to have you back to talk about the next step in the growth of your in your history as entrepreneurs for both you and your husband. So again, thank you for being with us today, and all the best to you. All the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We've been talking to Dana Green, who was the founder and owner of Restocked Sneakers in Leesburg. And she told us about all the things that she and her husband have done, but the pitfalls of having her business broken into twice last year in November and December, and what they're trying to do next to keep their entrepreneur spirit going. A reminder again about the DC Jazz Fest. Washington Informer newspaper is a media partner this year. In the latest issue, please go online with the newspaper and look for the articles about the 2023 19th anniversary of Washington's DC Jazz Fest. And at the end of the article that I wrote, there will be information about how you can get free general admission tickets for next weekend, Saturday and Sunday, September the 2nd and September 3rd. There's a link with a code. Just follow the instructions, and we look forward to seeing you down on the wharf. And I'm going to go back to Chevry, or I think I'm going to Lafayette. Barnes, he's coming up next with our last guest for the day. You're on mute.
Hey, this is Lafayette. I think this is the end of our broadcast. I appreciate you, Brenda. If you could close this out, that would be great.
Thank you very much. And we thank everybody for being with the show today. Don't forget that the March on Washington is tomorrow down on the mall by the Lincoln Memorial. And we also want to make you aware of an event tomorrow that's going to be in Oxen Run Park. The Places of Worship Advisory Board and the Friends of Oxen Run join together for a community day of health and awareness. There will be wellness talks and free food. That's at Oxen Run Park. We told you about how to register for the So Much Soul conference. It's about sewing, and that particular conference is going to take place in September. So go to somuchsoulconference.com, register. It's free, and it will be done virtually. And so you can get all kinds of tips on sewing. It's had thousands of attendees in the past. And so that way, get on board and register for the conference. And we want to thank everybody for being with us today. Next week, our regular host, Denise Rolick Barnes, will be back with us. Thank you, and be safe.